Good morning, everyone. I'm Dana Yusufari. I run video operations at Bloomberg. I'm really happy to be here this morning. And the title of the session, The Power of Video from TV to TV Plus. I think we could all agree, everyone in this room, that video is everywhere. It is not just from TV and media anymore. Whether you're a small shop or a retail store, or even just communicating with long-distance family members, video is pretty much everywhere you want to be. So what I want to take away from this session is two things. Really, the evolve of how distribution and consumption of video has evolved over the past decade or so, and also the products at Bloomberg that we've launched that can kind of show you what we're doing with video in every type of platform and all the different audiences that we have. So just a little bit about myself. I feel digital video has kind of followed me through my career. I graduated college in the early 2000s where I was still learning tape-to-tape editing. My first job was at a local news station where it was still tape-to-tape editing. And back then, coming from a news media background, you had a 5 p.m. newscast, an 11 p.m. newscast. You had your video, your close-up, your wide shot, your panning shot. I feel like today's world, people want the video, the news kind of raw. They don't really care about that polished look of video anymore. They want to know as it's happening. They want to be there in that experience. So it definitely has evolved tremendously over the past decade or so. So coming from that world and then into Bloomberg, where people kind of compare it as a startup in a big company from a TV point of view, I started there with 8 other people. We were just cutting video, basic video, exteriors of banks or companies. And then now I have a team of almost 40 editors, and they're editing for different platforms, some post-production, some breaking news, now for our new Twitter channel that I'll talk about in a little bit too. So it's definitely, what's the next 10 years going to bring on video? It's going to be very interesting to see how that evolves. So I think, like I said, video is everywhere. And I think everyone can also kind of bring this home too, is who's our audience? We're cutting video for TV, for social platforms. This is a good example from Bloomberg where this is one story and kind of how it was broken out on different platforms. The author of the story wrote his article on the Bloomberg terminal, also is going to the Bloomberg.com website, talking about it on TV. So that's where my team comes in. They'll clip in that interview, and then the publisher goes and takes it and publishes it to the article to give that article some story, some color. And then now this is an example of our new TikTok Twitter platform. Here's a different side of the video. Same author voicing it, but maybe different pictures that we didn't show on TV. And then on the bottom picture is the way that we're operating with TikTok. We're sending news via tweet, whether it's just text, photos, and then also a video pertaining to that Twitter platform. So different ways of telling the story is happening every single day. You could take a breaking news situation, and depending on who your audience is, are you going to cut the 30-second version, the 45-second version, the 10-second version? So we're trying to figure out ways at Bloomberg where you cut it once, it goes everywhere, and depending on your platform, you're going to get that specific data. So the next video I'm going to play is a little glimpse of the products that we've launched at Bloomberg, and I'll tell you about them after we play it.
45% of the S&P 500 members, MACDs, are signaling.
And if you don't follow TikTok, I suggest you go on Twitter and follow it, because it's pretty interesting. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. So this is kind of what I call the Bloomberg ecosystem. I don't even know if we have a dam or not. It's more than a dam, more than a MAM. It's definitely an ecosystem, because this is a product where it's homegrown. So when I started, like I said, we were just doing broadcasts. And it turned into, okay, now we're publishers, and okay, now we're distributing to social platforms in the terminal. So this is kind of, I'm going to use the slide again, you'll see, because it kind of describes a few different things that we do at Bloomberg. So in the middle is our ecosystem, where from there, this is where we're getting feeds coming in from AP, ABC, all of your news outlets, our show records, our ISO footage, our field footage. This is where people are putting in their requests to get video edited from all my editing teams. We have some breaking news teams, we have a post-production team, we have a team dedicated to TikTok, and this is global. This is, we have a team out in Dubai, London, Hong Kong. It's definitely has taken over the 24/7 aspect of television. From there, you can get a video requested. It's going onto TV. From there, you're cutting it from TV. You may re-air it. You may put it on social. You may put it on the terminal and cloud. And then from there, it's going to go to our syndication outlets for people to purchase, for our partners that we have globally, as well as our clients that are just feeding in our material depending on what they're interested in. Is it tech? Is it luxury? Is it politics? They're getting automatic clips of our video as it's being published. And then it just kind of goes back around again. So we're cutting video definitely 200 clips a day, whether it's interviews, little VOs, sound bites, or social media aspects from it. So our tagline, 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries, this is our newsroom, and this is the people that we have either just sending in a voice on their iPhone of like, hey, I just did this piece, this is a really good story, can you put some video behind it? And then all of a sudden you got a piece. So just figuring out how we're creating this content, and I feel like to that point you're gonna find these keywords throughout the sessions today, just in the presentation before, agile, collaboration, content. These are all things that I think from business to business we're all trying to figure out and follow these methods. Because I think what we're producing now is content, it's not just video, because this video has a headline, has a description, has a place of its own depending on the audience that is viewing it. So that is our ecosystem. So going into what we are doing, this is what Bloomberg looked like when I first started there, which was pretty retro. I got there and I'm like, what am I doing? The screen is so small. How is anyone going to see my video? But we're a data company, so video wasn't so prevalent back then. And what it looks like today, we just went HD back in 2010. That doesn't seem too long ago. A story I like to tell is when the financial crisis happened back in 2008, and every September when we relive that and broadcast against it, the producers are like, wait, why is this video in 4:3? I'm like, well, we were 4:3 in 2008. That's how fast video has evolved, and people just don't realize it. So when we have that B-roll, digging up in our archive, it's like, I'm sorry, this is what you want to show, because that's what it was like back in 2008. So that is just a little throwback there. It's hard to find that photo, actually. Oh, there we go. I skipped over. Interactive TV. So this is something particular to the Bloomberg terminal that we launched early, I would say, back in 2016 now. So this is a great example of how live TV is working on a terminal level for a specific audience. No one is really going home at 5 p.m. and watching the news anymore. We are producing content as it's happening. People are picking up their phones and watching the news as it's happening. So with interactive TV, this is how our terminal users who are watching our programming for the data, they're getting the live Bloomberg stream, but you'll see on the right-hand side, it's kind of like your social media feed. This is all the data that is happening, which is being derived from our control room. So as a show producer, I'm putting in, this is my person, this is my guest, this is the chart I want to use, and you could actually click on that right side if you're a terminal user, and it'll bring you to that person's bio page. It will bring you to that chart that they're talking about, which is real data in line with the action that's happening. It even has a keyword search. So to go onto your TV and to type in, I want to find out about Alphabet earnings, it'll bring you to that point. So it's definitely, I would say, in line with live television that people don't really watch too much anymore. In the business news and the sports world, people want live television in that aspect. So this is just a perfect way that we're bringing it to our core terminal audience. And it's been definitely a success, and the whole collaboration with this wouldn't have been able to be produced if it wasn't for our collaboration with the terminal R&D team, who knows nothing about television. So when we brought this to the table, it was like, wow, this is something that we could really work on. And like I said, the control room, you're in the moment, you're putting out the breaking news, your guest lineup. We have these triggers in place where it actually feeds that data downstream to interactive TV, and then as well as our streaming television platforms. So for all the cord cutters out there, you could watch Bloomberg 24/7 live on any platform, And with the same thing, like there's specific data that is going out and it has a different look. That's in the video I showed before, that purple-pink look. It is just showing a different audience. With that, you could also find our digital content that is, the more produced pieces about luxury, about some cars, politics. You could create your playlists. You could actually choose what you want to watch at this point if you're not watching the streaming television. Our live event coverage is huge on this as well. Trump is speaking, but then TV's still happening. You could actually watch the live event on the streaming television and then go back to see what we missed on television after that. So just the way that the video is progressing from whether you're a terminal user, whether you're streaming, whether you're on social media, you can always get our content one way or another. So this is consumed much of my time over the past year. TikTok by Bloomberg, this is our new social media channel, and this launched middle of December of last year. So this was a huge challenge for us because this isn't our typical Bloomberg business news. This is actually taking a general news approach. And what we found here is our different audience, our 18 to 34-year-olds that are not your typical Bloomberg TV watchers, the new content, and the video first approach. So I have the sound off now, but there's no anchors, there's no humans on the screen. There may be if we do a specific interview, but how many people watch video with the audio up anymore? A lot of social media users are watching it just to see the text on the screen. So we come up with these templates, and this is what you're seeing now is like, I would say like the world news segment of it. And then you'll see after this, there's more produced pieces. So the way that TikTok works is there is the tweet. When a video is done, that editor is actually submitting it into our ecosystem, and it is being tweeted. It is being sent to Bloomberg.com. It's being sent to the Bloomberg terminal, and you're getting that real news at that second. This is also part of the stream. So this is all clipped together, and then it's a stream on Twitter that every top of the hour is refreshed. And in the case of a live news event, say there's a Senate hearing for 5 hours. That is going to take up our stream for 5 hours, but you could still get these tweeted videos as the news is happening. So that's been pretty fascinating and very evolving as this has been growing over the past few months. Just last week, we launched the podcast version of this. So if you are a user that, you're on the train and don't want to look at your phone, you could still listen to it. So just another way that content is going from platform to platform, depending on the audience that you really want to gauge your video to. And then I'm going to bring it back to this slide. Like I said, collaboration is definitely something across Bloomberg that, when I first joined there, I worked for TV. I can't say I work for TV anymore. TV is just one part of the platforms that we are servicing. Our video quickly goes to the Bloomberg terminal, quickly goes to the cloud after that. Video is video, and I feel like it has just taken over capacity. So when people ask me what I do there, it's kind of hard to even describe. I work with the developers, I work with the video editors, I'm in the day-to-day of the newsmakers. We are just trying to get the content out there as quickly as we can. In definitely a new way that people haven't done before, and also just trying to figure out what's next. Our ecosystem, I would say about 2 years ago, we had to completely redesign it because it was built for broadcasts. And after a while, it's like, oh wait, we have to send this video to the cloud, and in what format? How do we do this? And how do we build a system where it is agile and we know what's next? AI is a big topic. How do we get all of that metadata into our system without having a human do it? All this stuff is just evolving. So we are trying to build a system. We just launched part of it over the past year of just a more simple look. I kept telling my developers, people don't train you how to use Amazon. You go to Amazon, you figure it out, there's a flow. That's what people want at their jobs too. I don't need to train people how to use our system every 6 months, every time there's an update, every time there's a new platform to put our video on, every time to request something different. The types of requests are also changing because of the different formats that we're using. So how do we make this so simple, so clean, and also user-friendly where people could just figure it out? I want this now. How can you ask that and not be trained on how to do that? So that has been something we've been working on for the past few years, and finally it's coming to life now that all these platforms are approaching. I mean, there's ways we do video where it's how do I get it to TV and the cloud at the same time. Like I said, the control room aspect where we're actually putting in that data and it's triggering down, it becomes a different look on every platform that you have too. that lower third may be one look for TV, maybe a different look for Apple TV, maybe a different look for Twitter. So we're trying to figure out ways to do it all once and correct the first time, and then when we distribute it out, it's how our audience at that point wants to see it. So that is the story of Bloomberg.